Hello, today we're going to talk about Final Fantasy XIV, a game I have played extensively, and my points of why it might be having a downfall. While we talk about this, I'm going to read an article. So let's start. On August 8th, the first quarter of 2025 financial report from Square Enix indicated that Final Fantasy XIV had lost money in both gross sales and operational profits. The downward trend in Final Fantasy XIV also correlated to a decline in player retention year on year, as the Dawntrail expansion remained a point of contention between current and former players. The point of contention, in my opinion, is how the Dawntrail story was done. If it ended where Wuklamag got crowned, that would have been fine, but the pacing of the story just doesn't make sense afterwards. You're at a war situation, but let's take a break. You're at a war situation in an enemy kingdom, but let's go talk with their queen, explore what the citizens are doing, as if a war is not happening. Whoever wrote that, I don't know what happened. Maybe they were not experienced, or they felt the pressure of the first time writing a story as a main story. Because, there was no pacing. Like I said, you're at the war situation, but you're doing everything else and not even focusing on the war situation itself. There is no sense of immersion in that story after Wuklamag's crowning, because they always take you away from the main purpose. You are there to stop the war, yet when you are there, you're doing everything but your objective. And the dungeons in the game was the only thing that they improved in Dawntrail. Everything else, in my opinion, was, well, a miss. But let's continue with the article. The report came amid tumultuous time for Final Fantasy XIV, between various critiques of Dawntrail's story and patch content pacing. Final Fantasy's 14 monthly subscriber count has steadily decreased. This was further compounded by the notion that Dawntrail followed off the heels of Endwalker, which was the climactic expansion of Final Fantasy XIV's first major story arc, the Hydaelyn Zodiac Saga. Additional criticisms of Final Fantasy XIV have recently been aimed at the game's online store selections, with players questioning the quality and pricing of certain cosmetics, including the Crystarium Rebels attire and the belt leather attire. Now, the online store pricing has, in my opinion, gotten out of hand. You can literally buy outfits that cost 40, 50 bucks, which is, come on, it's in the price of a new game, and you're gonna tell me I need to buy an outfit for that? It's ridiculous. But yeah, Endwalker was nice. Obviously, the next expansion after you end the major story arc will be a bit slower paced, which was fine in my opinion. Introduction into the new one. But don't create situations with high tension and you're doing everything besides the situation that requires your attention to solve the high tensions there. The pacing was completely off. Following the first anniversary of Dawntrail, Square Enix's Q1 2025 financial report stated that the expansion's mixed response hurt the company's bottom line. According to Square Enix shareholder Yuzu, and translated by Aitaki Mochi on Twitter, MMO gross sales for both Final Fantasy XIV and Dragon Quest X dropped by 2.9 billion yen, which is $19.6 million, compared to Q1 2024, and operational profits were down 3 billion yen, which is 20.2 million. As well, Yuzu stated that the success of Square Enix's HD games sales hinges on Final Fantasy XIV's own success, and stated that something must be done for the MMORPG to regain momentum. While Square Enix's stock prices have trended upwards, Yuzu dismissed it as an accurate method of gauging the company's financial health, stating that activists have inflated prices. Well, the whole activist thing was completely ridiculous, but we are kind of past the point of activists. At least certain type of activists, they're always going to be there. It's never going to stop. It's going to be a continuous fight for the hobbies we enjoy, because people just can't leave things be. Along with a decrease in year-on-year profits, the drop in interest was felt within Final Fantasy XIV itself. After several months of inactivity, the game's automatic housing demolition system was turned on in June. Hundreds of virtual homes were deleted in late July on North American data centers like Ether and Crystal, granting active Final Fantasy XIV players a chance to claim a vacant lot. As of this writing, player housing in Final Fantasy XIV continues to be available on per server basis. Now, the housing system is completely ridiculous. Why can other MMOs manage a housing system where you just have your own plot, completely separate for everybody else? I don't care if you're gonna pay the small or medium or large plots price, right? But don't have it limited and don't have it timed. Other MMOs can do that. Final Fantasy XIV can do that. The only reason that system is there is to keep certain people's monthly subscriptions going on, because they don't want to lose the house they might have tried to get for months or even years, depending on the situation. Because let me tell you, the servers I was playing on, getting houses were ridiculously tough. They can change the system if they wanted to, but I guess they won't, because it keeps some subscription going on for those that don't want to lose a house. Despite the gloomy outlook, Final Fantasy XIV recently launched patch 7.3, which was built as Drantra's climatic story update. Although early player sentiment towards patch 7.3 is leaning in a positive direction, only time will tell what Final Fantasy XIV will do to turn things around heading into its next expansion. Now that is all fine. What I've read about online about 7.3 is that, yeah, story is better. My issue is not the story itself per se, but the gameplay part behind it. The dungeon's been dumbed down ever since I've been a player. They've just made it into a linear path. There is no point for a tank to even know the way anymore, or any specific mechanics behind anything anymore, because everything is so simple. You could fall asleep and still complete the dungeon. For God's sakes, I play with a healer and I'm a tank. We don't use any defensives ever in any content outside the latest Downtrail dungeons. Those were quite tough. Maybe throw in a defensive once or twice through the dungeon. But still, as long as you avoid getting hit, you don't really need them. But point being is, the dungeons are so easy, you don't even need to play games or need to learn how to become better at the game in order to complete the dungeons. That's why you have level 80, level 90 people that don't even know what a stack marker is, or what is a tank buster mechanic where only the tank needs to take it, which is now marked, but whatever. That's the issue with creating content so easy that you don't even need to learn how the game functions. And then you get to the high-end content and people have to deal with the people that breeze through the story without learning nothing, because their party had at least one person who did their job. They shouldn't have dumbed down the dungeon. You can't make a game be for everyone. If you make the game extremely easy, you're gonna lose the old audience. Like myself, I haven't played Final Fantasy in a while after I finished Downtrail, because, let's be honest, the game's not worth it anymore. You're gonna gain the new audience, but is the trade-off worth it? To make it so easy you get a new audience that doesn't really play MMOs, over the audience you already had? Maybe not so in this case. Now, personally, what also I think impacted Final Fantasy is the fact that back then, when there was the treasure trove events, you actually could obtain some new rewards. You had actually some decent things to do in events in general, but now events are pretty much recycled the same thing. Go pick up a reward and go home. There's nothing really to do in the event department whenever the events are there. Treasure trove is just the usual dungeon runs, which is fine, but the rewards there suck. Let's be honest, it's always the same rewards everybody already has. Instead of giving something like higher end mounts, or maybe savage trial mounts or savage raid mounts, which majority of player base wouldn't have obtained but would have the chance to obtain through the treasure trove. Well, we get the treasure trove that doesn't really do anything but give you mounts that are easily obtainable even if you solo them. and the classes, they've been completely ruined. There is no class identity anymore. Whether I play in DPS a samurai or a dragoon or I don't know, a monk, it doesn't really matter. They play generally the same. The same can be said about tanks. They play the same. Outside maybe Dark Knight, which is the most underwhelming tank ironically right now. Was my favorite when I played Shadow Ringers, but oh well. Class hasn't just gotten anything decent in a couple updates. It's kind of stuck around the level 70 area. He's got more attack, but I mean it's a tank. Give him more survivability, not more attack. But oh well. They removed class identity, and they did say that with 8.0 there's gonna be more class diversity again. Well, Yoshi said, but from the recent patch notes that I've been reading, it doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like they're removing even more class diversity. So, which is it? Are we gonna get more class diversity back, or our class is gonna be literally like some of the instances where you just press one button and it's a different skill? Like the instance where you play in main story quests, you sometimes have these, you take control of one of the party characters and their combo is just one button. Are we heading there? No longer needed to flesh out your buttons, just keep it in one button. Now that might sound simple and some people might want it, but let me tell you, that's going to be extremely boring considering there's not much else to do but dodge AoEs that don't really come that often, let's be honest. Not often enough to put everything on a single button. Plus, I don't see the point why somebody would level different classes anymore outside the aesthetics of the class, like a monk. If you like a monk aesthetic, or a ninja, if you like a ninja's aesthetic, you might choose. Ninja's gameplay is still kind of decently different from the other since it can cast ninjutsu. You can kind of have a difference in there, but most other classes just play the same. There's no nuance to them no more. I just don't know. I'll guess I need to see what the game is offering later on, but currently it's just not good. The way I see it heading is not great. At least as an older Final Fantasy XIV player. As a newer one, maybe you'll like these changes, but just saying, as an older one, these changes ain't that great. And I think that's where I'll leave things off today. I'll see you all.